Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
How goes it? Can anybody see the cat video of the lawyer who was on Zoom?
No.
I was so
Oh my God, it's so funny.
Can you put it in the link?
Yeah, I was gonna try to. Oh darn, I can't do that. Yeah, I can. Hold on. Um, there we go. It's pretty funny. It's the this lawyer is they're doing a Zoom thing for a trial, and I guess the lawyer accidentally has like a cat filter on his face, and he goes into the. Anyway, it's funny. I'll try to see if I can find it. Alrighty. So let's get started around 11:05. I'm gonna run and grab something to drink, a little bit of caffeine, and we'll be up and rocking and rolling and do our reporting numbers and all that fun stuff. And Angela, I think you're trying to set something up for Friday while I'm gone. If you want to tell everybody about that, that would be a good time.
Yes. So the restaurant that you said, what is it? The one on Pico?
Yeah, the Wellsborn.
Yes. So they don't open until Friday at 5 o'clock. So I was thinking we could have went there at from 5 to 7 for happy hour, but they don't even open until Friday so that I can make reservations. So you think it can be like a walk up type thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I know the owners there. I can go. I can actually reach out to them if
That's
you
what I'm
want.
talking about, Jared.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, let me reach out to them, see what I can do. I do have a Zoom thing planned with my girlfriend around I think 7 or 7:30. So that's perfect timing for me. So I
Hey,
might have to
how are
leave
you?
a little bit early.
Hey.
Um, we're playing a game called Among Us with a bunch of her friends, and it's fun over Zoom. And yeah, it's super cute. So yeah, but Angela, tell everybody a little bit about what you were thinking, and I'm gonna go grab some water real quick, and we'll get started in a few minutes.
Before you speak, Angela, did you tell Jared? Did you tell everybody Ignites on Friday, the last one?
Oh, we're doing it this Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Yes. So we're going to do the last Ignite this Friday because family reunion is around the corner. So that'll be interfering with the Ignite classes. So the last one for this session is going to be the last class is going to be on Friday. Then after that, there's family reunion, which I highly recommend everybody to get involved with. Reach out to Alfredo or somebody else in the office, maybe Josh, about getting for all that fun stuff. I highly recommend it. It is like it is this but on steroids and much more professionally done with a lot of really top producing agents from all around the country. Gary Keller, and also get a really in-depth view into what command is and how you can utilize that as far as getting leads, creating a CRM that really helps you systematize your business, and highly recommend everybody getting involved with that. So that is family reunion. And Alfredo, what are the dates for family reunion?
The 15th to the 18th. The 15th is more of an introduction, which is Monday. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are more jam-packed days. There's only one breakout session per day, which is like a class that you can pick once you're registered. If you want to get registered, if you haven't, let me know already. I'm doing a bulk registration tomorrow evening. It's the second one. So I've already registered like 30 agents for a discount of $80. So right now the price is $129. But if we do get at least 15 agents to register together, which I'll do for you guys, it goes down to 80. And I'll if you want them to join, let me know and I can register you guys. But that you have until tomorrow evening to register with me because I'm doing it one last time. And then on Friday, they said the price is going up, so that's no longer available.
Awesome.
So by tomorrow evening, let me know. Just shoot me an email that you want to be added to the list, and I will. The office is going to pay for it, but then we're going to invoice you to get our money back, and so we can get the discount all in one.
Awesome. And yeah, so for anybody who hasn't done Ignite, by the way, Ignite, excuse me, family reunion. It is super powerful. They usually do them in person in a different city. So for example, I flew out to Dallas the last time we did family reunion, and it was awesome. Frankly, it was, super, super amazing, very informative, all these different classes. But now, because it's going to be online, it's actually even more accessible. So you're going to be able to go from, one thing to another almost seamlessly. And I believe some of them are even available to rewatch if you miss something. So all
Yeah,
I really
you'll be able to rewatch later, but they want you to join right then and there, so that way you can connect with people that are live and make some connections and meet people in different states.
definitely, and it's a good source for referrals too. So awesome stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my water real quick and a Diet Coke so I can get some caffeine in me, and we'll start in just a couple minutes. And Angela, if you wanted to talk about that meetup we were thinking about doing for Friday, that would be a great time.
Okay, cool. So everyone, I think like we're all pretty new. And I talked to a couple of the other new agents. And just the other day, I was talking to one of the new agents. He's not on here right now, but he was having a really hard time like getting started. And he's not from Los Angeles. So I know it's a little harder for him. And I know that like even myself, when I first started, and I'm still new, I had a lot of issues, didn't know where to start, didn't know where to go. So I personally reach out to like every agent on Instagram, every agent I know, and I ask questions. And I know there's other agents on this in this Zoom call that may know something that I don't know. So I was thinking that we all can get together this Friday. If you guys aren't busy, everyone's invited from 5 to 7 at Wellsbourne, the place Jared was talking about. It's happy hour between 5 to 7. It's by the old West Side Pavilion. And then we all can just like pick each other brain. And Jared's going to be there. So we'll be able to get more information from him in a personal, a physical setting. Like we'll be able to see each other. So if anyone is interested, anyone else that I haven't reached out to, let me know.
Angela, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I mentioned that I would love to make it. I don't think I'm going to be able to. It's my daughter's birthday this week, and so just relatives and stuff will be, but I hope to make the next one because that sounds amazing.
Okay, great.
Happy birthday to your daughter.
Right.
Thank you so much. She turns 1. It's been kind of emotional.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so amazing. That's
I love that idea too. Like, can you post the info somewhere or in the chat or some?
yeah. If you want to go, maybe put your number and info in the chat.
Okay.
And Angela, if you could maybe look up the address. I could probably do that, but maybe look up the address while I'm teaching and throw that in the chat and everything and all the info. So.
Okay. Cool.
All righty. Okay, so everybody, what we are doing right now, I hope we're ready to rock and roll. And yeah, I think that'd be really fun. They have a huge outdoor backyard patio, so we can all be, relatively socially distanced and whatnot. Just so you know, for the thing for Friday, super good, yummy drinks and good food and all that fun stuff. So hope to see everybody there. I'll definitely show up. I'm going to probably leave a little bit early just because I have something going on at around 7. But yeah, fun stuff. Alfredo, am I host yet? There we go. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So I hope everybody had a good last couple of days. Let's run through this as quickly as possible. So we will jump right into the good stuff. Angela Cross, what are your numbers?
I'm low, like 2 and 2.
2 and 2. Not a problem. Very cool. All righty. Thank you, dear. There's a couple people who might be new on this. Lorianne, I believe I have you. Yeah.
Lorraine, yeah, it's 2 and 1.
2 and 1. Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you. And Susan.
Hey, Jared.
How are you, my dear?
18, 13, and 5 appointments.
18, 13, and 5 appointments. That is stellar. Oh, wait, is this
Yeah.
10 or 11? This is 11. Oopsies. Awesome. Good job. All righty. Grace,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. I
How are
did
you?
6 and 1.
And 1. Awesome. Amber,
Hello.
how are you, my dear?
Good, thank you. I had 2 and 2.
2 and 2. Very cool. 11. Awesome. Diane Munoz,
3-3.
3 and 3. We're bringing those numbers up. That's awesome. Where's your name? Where am I missing you? You're up, you're up, you're
29.
up. 39?
29.
29. Oh, well, there we go. What did you say? 3 and 3?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, you know what? You're just one short, a couple short of last one. So that's good. We're getting some consistency in there. I like it. Awesome. And let's see. Maggie Pay, what's up?
Hey.
Have you been? I think you might be on mute.
Hello. Hi. Sorry.
How are you?
Good. How you doing? I'm a little low this week because I'm thinking I'm gonna go take my exam next 2 weeks. Around next week or next 2
Gotcha.
weeks I get in. So I do 8 and 6. But just give you a heads up, I'm probably gonna missing next 2 weeks, but I'll be right back. Hopefully with my license.
It's all good. The last one for this session is going to be on Friday.
Okay.
So we'll restart a little bit later, but I think you're almost caught up. Okay, and let's see who else. Taylor Smith.
Hi, yeah, I'm still working on it.
All good, my dear. So I'm gonna give you zeros, I'm assuming. Not a
Yeah,
problem.
thanks.
No worries. I always want to say Taylor Swift whenever I say your
Oh my gosh, I know, right? It goes hand in hand.
Awesome. Cindy Melendez, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm quite well. Let's hear about what you've been up to, because I know you've been driving around.
Yes, I was driving around and I did visit some construction sites to hopefully meet some general contractors. And I have 3 of 7, I want to say.
Okay, perfect. We are the same as we were last time. Nice. All righty. Thank you, Cindy. Mr. Sean Dye, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Jared, I was trying to just sit back here and not be noticed.
Yeah, well, too bad I noticed you.
You
What
saw
are your
my name flashing there.
How are your numbers looking? Do I have you on here? I don't know.
No,
Put you on there.
I've been on hiatus. I get, same as the power session. I got 10 phone calls. I talked to 10 people.
Boy.
And I got 1 appointment.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Good job, Sean. Sean is, I think we started at Keller Williams around the same time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Here's
And
me.
he's just kicking butt and taking names.
Here's me. That's
Talk about somebody who applies himself. It's amazing.
Got to keep going. Never quit.
Absolutely, my man.
And we got to go for a hike one of these days too. We're going hiking.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely down. You know what? I took a hiatus from hiking for a while because the last hike I went on kicked my ass so much that I was like, oh my God, I need like a couple weeks off.
I haven't forgot. We're going.
I'm down, man. I'm very down.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, who did I miss that is a returning person? I think I got everybody. So let's go with all the newer people. Oh, Adriana's.
Hey.
Hey, how are you? Goldberg, I do have you. There we go.
Yeah.
How are your numbers this last week?
This week, I probably had about 5 conversations and about 1 like meetup appointment.
Nice. Good job.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, of course.
It's in relating to the calls. So, because I know like a couple of you haven't taken your exams yet or whatever, and you're already cold calling. What happens if you like get a listing appointment? Like someone's like, I want to meet up with you. Then how do you take it from there?
So you mean like you're doing some cold calls or your warm calls or whatever, and somebody goes, all right, great, I want to meet up.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would do in that situation, I'd be like, great, set up a time, get some information about obviously the address of the property, do a comparative market analysis ahead of time, look at the property on the MLS. We're going to like take a look at it, see what the property characteristics are, see when it was last sold. Sometimes if it was only sold within the last 3 years, you might be able to kind of ascertain what the condition is. And if it's pretty similar, you can ask them, have you been doing any remodeling? You know, what's the interior look like, you know, since you first moved in? If they say, oh, well, you know, just some paint and, you know, stuff like that, you know, little here, a little there, then we can probably take the old pictures from the MLS and figure that it probably looks more or less the same. And from that, you would take the year of the home build, do a comparative market analysis for all the homes that were built around the same year, roughly around the same square footage, roughly around the same, you know, bed bath count. Sometimes you might want to go one up or one below. It depends. You know, if you have a lot of good comps, you won't need to do that. And we're going to look for something, you know, apples to apples. Occasionally, you might have to expand that search criteria. But if you're able to find, let's just say for conversation's sake, you know, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. You're going to look for all the 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that were built within the same year, you know, maybe give or plus or minus a couple of years. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and do a CMA. And we'll have that prepared. We're going to, when we go into the listing appointment, we'll have our listing presentation prepared, which is something that everybody should have a listing presentation already prepared at this point in our career. Even if you're just a new agent, you know, one of the first things you should probably start working on is having a listing presentation already prepared and ready to go for when you do eventually have a listing appointment. You're going to walk into the house just like any other appointment. You're going to say, hey, you know, love the house from the outside. Could you please show me around? They're going to show you around the property. You're going to go take some notes. You're going to talk about, try to build some rapport. You know, again, you know, don't overcomplicate it. We're meeting new people. We're just getting to know them, and we're feeling each other out at this point. So after the homeowner shows you around the property, you get to know them a little bit. You go back into the kitchen or the living room or wherever. A lot of people like going to the kitchen just because it's a little bit less formal and it's a little more diffused. And you sit down and you go, well, listen, I'd love to go over my listing presentation with you. Let you know what I do to, you know, prepare your house for sale. And then after that, we can talk about numbers. You go through the listing presentation. You show them that without a doubt, you have the tools and wherewithal to be able to sell their property. Upon which, that's when they're gonna go, well, great, all of this sounds awesome. How much do you think my house is worth? And you're gonna have a comparative market analysis ready to go. I usually hold back on the price, so I'll do a whole CMA. I'll rip the price sheet out, you know, just because I don't want to show it yet. But if everything looks kind of as we anticipated, that price, that price range is probably going to hold true. So what we want to do from there is ask the seller, you know, how do you feel your home compares to the other homes that have sold in your neighborhood after you go down this list of all these different homes? And then, you know, the seller, if they're realistic, they're going to, you know, probably say, well, I think it's kind of like this home. And let's say there's a house that's kind of similar in year build, style, bed bath count, etc. And if they're realistic, great, your job is almost done. And you say, great, so you feel that your house is worth whatever that price was. And they say, yes, perfect, awesome, I agree, let's sign the listing agreement. And occasionally, they may think that it's undervalued, which is awesome, which is great, because then we can say, well, you know, actually, I think it's worth a little bit more. But I think you're right in that pricing it, we should be a little bit under market value just to bring some, you know, eyes to the listing. If which this happens to be more typical than not, if the person feels their house is worth a lot more money than it really is worth, then we're going to do some comparisons with that homeowner. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I think that, you know, that's a pretty strong number. You know, this house that's right across the street from you that sold just a month ago, same bed bath count, same square footage, but it's completely remodeled. And it's sold for the number that you're looking for. Your house, unfortunately, and not don't say unfortunately, your house in comparison, how would you rate it? Would you say it's exactly like it? Would you say it's, you know, a little bit less remodeled? What's your thoughts? And then they'll say that. Then you show them another property that is way worse than that property that it sold, and it sold way lower than that. Now, what about this property? And they go, oh no, my house is way better. And you go, I agree. Then you bring another house into the mix that is almost identical. It hasn't been really necessarily updated other than, you know, some general upkeep. It's in decent condition. It just hasn't been remodeled in the last 10, 15 years. And you ask them, how do you think this compares? Yeah, that looks like my house. I think we're kind of like that. Okay. So between the house that sold that was completely remodeled and the house that has completely been neglected, where do you think your home falls in this price range? And then hopefully they will tell you, I think it's this one, the middle one. And that's the way you can kind of get them back into like the realistic realm of pricing. Now, of course, everybody's going to be different. Some people are going to be a little bit more stubborn about their pricing. And, you know, that's going to be a hurdle that you'll probably have to go over. But there's a whole class on pricing and strategy. So I don't want to take too much away from this particular class. But the whole pricing thing that I'm talking about, we're going to already have talked about that during that listing presentation. So hopefully by the time you're going over price, they have a little bit more of a realistic mindset of like, okay, this is what we're going to have to do to get the place sold. So, yeah.
So I'd like my only question in relation to that, thank you, makes so much sense, is you know, like I already passed my exam, but I'm waiting on my license. So what happens if I get a cold call that wants an appointment? How far can I go? You know what I mean? At what point am I allowed to meet with them?
Technically, no. So you would want to bring a realtor with you. So whoever would be either your mentor, if you don't have a mentor, I'm happy to go with you. And if let's say we signed it or something like that on the spot, we would just do per the mentor agreement, which I believe is 50-50. And I would tell Josh I want this to count towards her, you know, whatever, because she just hasn't gotten her license in the mail yet. So if that happens, give me a call. Happy to help out and rock and roll.
Great. Just didn't want to be caught in that position and not know exactly what to do. So thank you for that.
Totally. Hold
on. While you're being quiet, Jared, I mean, I want to just brag because I just got another appointment. They just they just texted me, and I'm pretty for sure I'm going to get this one. It's a FISBO for sale by owner, and it's a good friend of mine, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it. So I just wanted to brag.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So put 2 down there for appointments.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. And by the way, what we were talking about is I made a sale before I got my license also, and I found somebody in the office from talking to somebody else, and I gave her 30%, and she helped me out a lot. She's no longer in the office, but
well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Good stuff, everyone. Okay, so real quick, did I get your numbers down, Adriana?
Yeah, it's Adriana. I think you did. I did. Yeah, I think I mentioned I had about 4 like conversations, and I had 1 meetup.
Okay, very cool. Awesome. Okay, who is next on the list? Sorry to change the subject, everybody, but I want to get us in deep into the good stuff. Okay, Rady Math, how are you?
It's ratty.
Ratty. Well, that's pretty
like
rad.
radical.
That's radical,
Radical
bro.
math.
I like it. I like it. So you're new to the Ignite classes. So what we're doing right now is essentially what we do in the power sessions with Josh. I like to usually have a little bit more of a conversation with people about what the process was like when they were, either cold calling or lead generating. What did they learn from it? I always like to say, whenever we make a mistake or something is something that I want us to share. I will constantly tell you about mistakes that I've made in my career, because I think mistakes are the things that we learn from the most, rather than just talking about our accolades and successes. So this is like a safe space that we can all talk about. Oh gosh, I totally bombed this listing presentation, or I totally, did this, or I totally did that. And this is a place where we can all talk about it. And so I usually want to get a little bit more in depth. This one, we have quite a few people on the call, so I'm going a little bit quicker than normal. But basically what we're doing right now is also part of our daily 10-4. Can somebody remind me in the class what our daily 10-4 is? I'm very forgetful. Come on, y'all. I know somebody knows it.
I'm not in this class, but is it the same as the 411?
No, not exactly.
Okay, just wanted to ask.
Ellie, I know
Okay,
you know our
yes.
daily 10-4. Come on.
It's 10 contacts, 10 well, calls, contacts that you could add to your calendar, and you can check 10 properties too.
Yep.
Right in the MLS, and I forgot the other one.
10 handwritten notes.
Oh yes.
And then adding 10 people into our CRM.
Yeah.
And that's the daily 10-4. So the daily 10-4, Ratty, is we're going to do 10 contacts per day, at least 10 two-way conversations per day is what we're aiming for. We're going to add 10 people into our CRM. Hopefully it's Command, or it could be another database that we have, like a Lions Desk, an Excel spreadsheet, whatever works for you is what you should do. But obviously Command is a integral part of Keller Williams, and especially because it just makes automating your business so much easier. Once you put a contact in, you can add them onto an automated drip. So you just kind of set it and forget it, if you remember that old commercial. And then from there, you want to do 10 handwritten notes, and then finally preview 10 properties per week. Now in this market, admittedly, it is a pretty dry market as far as inventory goes. So you might want to be checking for price changes. You might want to be checking for properties that have gone off the market or haven't sold, properties that have gone into escrow. So it doesn't necessarily have to be previewing 10 new properties. It's also just, keeping yourself up to date on what's happening in your local market. My local area that I really focus on, there's a couple, it's West Los Angeles, Westwood, Bel Air, and Beverly Hills. So those are the three areas that I'm kind of focusing on, but I would recommend starting with one location that you're really super hyper focused on, so you get used to it and do it that way. But more further to the point of what we're doing today on our reporting is we're doing a per day, how many contacts we're going to make per day, and we're going to commit to that number. And then we extrapolate how many is that per week that we're going to make. And then we go over our actuals. So we're going to state what we're going to commit to. Jared, will commit to X amount of calls per day. And we're going to figure out how many calls that is per week. Obviously, some days we're not going to be able to make that many calls just because of previous engagements or listing appointments or whatever it might be. But that means if you take it away, you must replace it. So that means I'm going to do it more so on another day. And anyway, so then we're going to go over what's the actual that we actually did. So Ratty, what could you commit to as far as proactive outreaches and phone calls per day that you could commit to making?
I would say 10.
10, awesome. That's 70 per week. And you may have just started. So do you have any numbers that you could report right now, or?
I did 30 contacts.
Attaboy. Hold on
And one appointment.
Nice. My computer's about to die. Okay, there we go. 30 contacts and one appointment?
One appointment I spoke to prior 15.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, good job. That's badass. All righty, excuse my French. Okay, awesome, Ratty. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh wait, did I miss Taylor? No, I got Taylor Smith. Who else is there? I think I lost some people. Yeah, okay. Ellie, how about you? Did I get your numbers?
No, because I arrived a little late. I did 12 this week, 12 and 2. I had a meeting on Monday and another one tomorrow.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, I've been a little bit behind with the classes. I know I'm missing 3. Now I can see.
Well, it's okay. We'll give you credit for this one. Awesome. And I think that is that everybody that I got, because I'm looking on the thing and I think I got everybody. All righty. Sounds good. I feel like I got everybody. All righty. Let's get into it. Today, we are going to be going over, hold on. How do I move this? There we go. Okay, closing the deal. Power session number 11. Let me share my screen real quick. Now this one is a big one. So we already got into our reporting for the day. So that's part of our daily 10-4. The ones that we really care about is really staying on top of our contacts, because on every single class I pretty much go over, we're talking about contacts leads to contracts, contracts leads to payments, and that's the whole thing. So we really want to be lead focused on everything that we're doing every single day. If you don't do anything in regards to real estate that day, reaching out and being proactive with reaching out to people should be your number one goal. And listen, frankly, if you're not set up on a CRM and a drip system, sometimes reaching out is not going to be so canned and trying to close a deal or whatever. Sometimes it's just check-in calls. Hey, I'm just checking in on you, seeing how you're doing, how's the family, how's business, how's life. And then of course they'll eventually ask you, how's real estate? You'll go, oh my gosh, it's great. I'm helping this person or that person. And then you can easily and naturally turn the conversation into, have you ever thought about, making a move yet? So a lot of this stuff is just reaching out to people and making sure we're staying in contact. But for today, let's go over some scripts real quick before we get into all the fun stuff. And today's mainly about closing that deal. We did negotiations on last class. This one's about closing. So for this script, let me get a couple people in the class to do this together. If I could have Diana Munoz. If you could read the script, I will be the client that you're trying to work with.
Okay. Hello, this is Diana. I know it's been a while since we've been in touch. As you know, I'm still in Orange County. I've been busy growing my real estate business with KW Beverly Hills. I wanted to ask for a favor. Oh, is that still me? I wanted to ask a favor. With people moving all around the country and becoming more global, I wanted to check with you about a couple things. One, do you know of anyone looking to move to my area? Or of anyone moving out of my area?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let me think about it for a second.
Okay. Second, I can help people where you live with their real estate needs by referring them to the best KW agent in their area. That way I know they would be professionally represented at the highest level. Can you think of anyone needing help with real estate?
Oh gosh. Yeah, you know what? One, I know this one person who's moving to LA, which is great. So I'll give you their info. And then plus there's somebody in my area who is looking at selling their house in Connecticut. And yeah, I mean, hey, if you can help, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Jared, for helping me out. I'd like to share my real estate app with you. You can see what's for sale and prices from your street to any place in North America. It's free, there's no cost to you, and I can send you a text with the link to it. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Okay, well, thanks, Jared, for your time and help. Please let me know if there's anything I can ever do for you.
Awesome. Now I was trying to look up good job, Diana. I was trying to look up if there are, specific cities that tend to move to Los Angeles the most. And frankly, I believe it's New York, if I remember correctly. But look that up and, think about who you could call in those areas to maybe, see if anybody's moving to Los Angeles. I know right now my uncle's friend is selling their house and I need to give him a call today because I would like to refer them to an agent in the area and get a referral deal on that. So for example, these things happen all the time. I know a couple who are moving out of state and I'm hounding them like crazy trying to get them to allow me to refer them an agent and interview agents on their behalf. In that way, I could possibly get a commission on that end as well. So referral deals are huge in our business. I like to say that they're my favorite kind of deals because I don't have to do any work, but I still get paid. So keep that in mind that referrals can be a huge source of business for all of us realtors.
Jared, sorry
yeah.
for interrupting. I have a question. How do you go about interviewing another agent? Like, I have a relative that lives in Texas.
Yep.
And I know that she's looking for a house, but she didn't reach out to me to let me know. So I called her just to congratulate her, and I was like, "Well, I already have 8 connections over there, so let me know if you would like for me to refer you to someone." And she was like, "Oh, I already spoke to an agent, but thank you. I'm not going to buy anytime soon, yada, yada, yada." I was like, "Okay." And I just left it as that. So how do you go about interviewing agents?
And this goes back to staying on top of our friends and family. Sometimes you will run into a situation where they have already found somebody and you're a little bit too late. Excuse me. Now, that said, that doesn't mean you have to give up right then and there. You can then have a conversation and go into, well, I understand that you may have found somebody, but wouldn't you like a professional realtor's opinion on who you're working with? I know certain things to ask. For example, are they on a team? Are they just, the head of a team? Are they going to refer to somebody down the pipeline in their team? These are important things that we want to ask the realtor. What's their marketing strategies? What's their sphere of influence looking like? There's a lot of different questions that I could ask on your behalf, and especially if they're thinking of selling. Now, are they thinking of selling or buying?
Buying. They'd be their first time.
Okay. Well, I mean, with that said, I would say
hence to her not wanting anybody in the family to know that she's buying it because she doesn't know how she wants to keep that information private.
Sure. So with that said, I would talk to her and just say, hey, listen, I know a lot of agents in that area. People in Keller Williams, we network very frequently with agents in the Texas, what part of Texas? Do you know what part of Texas?
Yes, San Antonio. Sorry.
Antonio. Okay. That's funny. I'm looking for somebody. I just talked to somebody who's thinking of maybe moving to San Antonio. Really just having a conversation with her and saying, listen, I know the team leader of Keller Williams in San Antonio. You might not know them, but, doesn't matter. You can find out who they are immediately and they'll be happy to talk with you. And I'd love to set up a meeting with you and them and find somebody who would really help with your specific situation. And really just have the conversation that way and come from a place of contribution and just say, I'm happy to interview these agents on your behalf. As a professional real estate agent, I know what to look for. I'd really love to help you out. And go about that way. Now, on the flip side, if we are being proactive about reaching out to our friends and family, even if they're in other states, you might have an opportunity to get that referral ahead of time. You know what I mean? You're going to be the first contact for that person. They're going to go, hey, Cindy, I was thinking of buying. What's your thought? I know you live in LA, but do you know like what I should be looking for? And that way the conversation just becomes a natural conversation rather than them feeling like you're going after business or whatever. And frankly, they don't even have to know that you're getting a referral up front. Obviously they might find that out a little bit later in the deal. Yeah, just absolutely. I would still go after it and just say, hey, listen, how do you like that realtor? And follow up, how do you like the realtor? Are they hands-on?
Okay.
Are they, communicating with you? Because I think you will find that a lot of realtors get lazy and are very, very short-sighted. So for example, I know, and I hear it all the time in this class, frankly, this person doesn't want to do anything right now. It's like, how long have you been talking to them? About a month. Well, it takes 6 months typically on average for somebody to have a conversation and then finally buy a house. So it's like a lot of realtors, if it's not happening right away, they're like, oh, I'll get to them later. And they just drop them, frankly. So check in with her constantly, see what's going on. Then if she goes, yeah, I was talking to this agent and then they just kind of stopped returning my calls. That's a great opportunity right then and there, and be like, well, great. Well, let me go ahead and interview some agents that will be, more equipped to help you and your needs. And then, frankly, find a hungry agent out there. Maybe they're not the top producer, but they have a lot of grit and a lot of tenacity. Maybe talk with the team leader of the local office and say, hey, who would you recommend who's really going to stay on top of this client and hold their hand? They're a first-time buyer. The team lead may think of somebody that's really a great fit. So stay on it.
Jared, I
Okay.
wanted to ask you something. Oh,
Sure.
sorry, Cindy. Regarding that, I'm working with an agent from Miami for two people that I know from here that are moving there. What's usually the referral fees? Like 20%, 25%, or?
It's negotiable, depending on what the deal is. If the deal is high dollar enough, you could frankly ask for 50% if you wanted. If they're looking at a really huge commission, even at 50%, they might be willing to do it. Because
Is it going to be from the commission of the realtor, right?
Yeah, correct. So for it would
Okay.
just be like a standard commission sharing, or it's a referral agreement, but it just states that you're sharing the commission. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
The better answer your question though, I think it's like 25 to 30% is pretty standard. If that makes sense. But it's all negotiable. Like, for example, if it's a really, really small deal, they're only buying like a $500,000 house, you might want to ask for, a smaller commission maybe, because it's a lot of groundwork to work with a buyer. There's a lot of legwork. You still want to incentivize them to give them good service. So, maybe asking them for 50% might be kind of shooting them in the foot a little bit. So it really depends. Now, if it's in multiples of millions, frankly, I've worked with buyers that are buying a $300,000 house, and I've worked with buyers who are buying $3 million houses. I'm still giving them the same amount of attention, but if I found out that I have to split a $300,000 commission with somebody,
yeah,
unbiased, like there's always bias, what's it called? Unconscious bias. I might be a little bit like, "Oh, man, it's taking up a lot of my time," and I'm looking at making basically the equivalent of $150,000 commission. Oy vey. So maybe in that situation, I would say, listen, I'm happy to take it on, but I need to keep 80% of the commission. I'm not going to give 50% of my commission away. So it's all negotiable though. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now for a $3 million deal, I'm happy to do a $1.5 million deal at 50%. Doesn't matter to me. That's great. Good money. All righty. Okay. So getting your head in the game. Good questions though, by the way. Closing is not an event. It is a complex process that involves a series of steps, multiple parties, and a myriad of details. This is where you can truly shine as a customer experience professional. It is your job to ensure that all the steps are completed on time and all parties are aware of their roles and what's expected of them. Especially, your role becomes that of a project manager in addition to being a knowledgeable and calm fiduciary to your client. Can somebody tell me what a fiduciary is?
Like the responsibility to be honest with your client.
Yeah, kind of close. It's really keeping your client's best interest at heart at all times. And that's really what a fiduciary is. It's putting their best interest before yours. And keep staying on top of that. So, and basically when you are in escrow, how does your job description change from just being a realtor to being a project manager? Why is it now more of a project manager's role? And I'll tell you, I know why, because I used to be a project manager.
Well, you need to be calling constantly to the people involved to make sure that everything is running.
And who are those people involved that you're managing and making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do?
Well, would if you're the general contractor?
Well, I'm talking real estate. In real estate,
Okay.
who are the people? If I become a project manager in real estate, who are the people I'm calling to make sure they're doing their job? Let's say I'm representing the buyer.
I would be calling the lender to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing to make sure that they're pre-qualified.
Who else would we be calling?
The buyer?
Sure, absolutely. Making sure they're getting all their documentation in on time to the lender. Who else would we be calling?
The escrow officer, whoever is running the transactions.
Boom, staying on top of escrow. Hey, are you sure you know that we're supposed to be closing in the next 10 days? Is there anything that's outstanding from the sellers, from the buyers? What else? Who else? There's one more person involved in this.
Title insurance.
Title, absolutely, 100%. We got to make sure title's on it. There's a couple other things that let's go for extra credit. Who else is involved in the transaction if you're representing the buyer? We got escrow, we got the loan officer, we got our buyer to make sure they're getting their docs in on time. We got title. Who else is involved in a transaction on the buyer side? So we also have the other realtor on the selling side that we're going to be communicating with as well. They're kind of our co-quarterback, so to speak. And then we also have inspection personnel. We want to make sure the inspection is happening on a timely manner. Let's say we have a 14-day inspection. Maybe we reduce the inspection period to 10 days. We want to make sure we got our general inspection scheduled and on time and done. What else is going on? Natural hazard. My NHD, it's one of the first ones that comes up. We want to make sure we have our natural hazard disclosures all in and everything. If it's an HOA, we want to make sure HOA docs are in order. So the point is there's a lot of different things in an escrow that we need to stay on top of. Now, a good escrow officer is going to help remind you about a couple of those things. But ultimately, it's us, the quarterback, quote unquote, to stay on top of all these things that are involved in a transaction. And believe me, I'll tell you, it can get a little bit confusing if you don't have it all written down. What I have in my office, which I'm meaning to go back and take this painting down and replace it with this, is I have a whiteboard calendar that I just put right up on my wall. And I have, once I get the estimated closing dates and periods from escrow, which our escrow company, Cannon Hills Closing, is happy to do, it will say when the deadlines of our agreement. So for example, our inspection contingency, earnest money deposit, inspection contingency, loan contingency, appraisal contingency, it'll give us all of those dates. And I will literally write it out on my whiteboard on the calendar. This day is when we're supposed to get it in. 2 days from that is our drop dead, meaning if they can serve a notice to perform at that point. And if we don't get it all in, the seller could walk. So I want to make sure I have all those dates, boom, smack dab, right where I could see it at all times. And I have different colors for different people and different escrows. So my point is build a system that you're able to project manage what's happening in all your escrows. So it's not just has to be up in here. You want to write it down someplace so you can forget it. Einstein once said that, why should you memorize something that you could easily look up? So the point is write it down. Don't rely 100% on your memory, and write it down in a place where you can easily remind yourself constantly of what to do and when you need to do it. So that's why we are project managers when we are in escrow. All righty. Okay, so the transaction closes on time as is expected. The process is smooth and painless for all parties involved. You will win future business due to your 10++ customer experience. That's corny. But so let's see. How will we ensure all of these three outcomes? I just went over it all pretty much, so we'll skip that. Okay, so on to my favorite little pictogram. Remember when I said our business really is about leads first? We're leads focused. And this is basically why. The more leads we get, the more appointments we get. The more appointments we get, the more agreements we get. And right now, we are here at contracts and close for payday. So we always want to be lead generation focused. Then after that, we're going to appointments, agreements, and contracts. Okay, congratulations. You've reached a pinnacle moment in the lead to close process. Keep in mind that it starts with lead to close process, closing a transaction and getting paid. You've also achieved a monumental milestone for your client. You've gotten their home sold, or you've gotten them their dream home. So awesome. Take a good look at that little funnel right there. Print it out, post it on your wall. The first part of real estate sales process is the hard, focused work of making connections and achieving agreements. The second part is the wide-eyed, vigilant guardianship of the transaction until it makes it to closing. 100%. All righty. Okay. So making it happen, know the process, systems equal success, seize the golden opportunity, get paid. Know the process. Closing sometimes known as the settlement is a detail-driven process that brings together a variety of parties to legally finalize the sales transaction. Depending on the specific details and location of the transaction, the parties to the sale may include the following individuals. And I just went over some of this, but the buyers, other real estate agents, lender, loan officers, mortgage processors, closing escrow companies, family or friends lending money to the buyer for the down payment. 100%. Sellers, attorneys. I've definitely dealt with a few attorneys in my day. Not unfortunately enough, not because I did anything, but because they're getting divorced or it's bankruptcy or what have you, or both. Members of your team, if you got assistance and you're building a next level business. Third parties, loss mitigation, relocation, estate. For example, staging companies. That's another person that we might be project managing, so to speak. Market center staff, transaction coordinator, etc. Brian Chung in our office is the man. I still owe him my holiday gift that I'm super late on, but if Brian hears this, sorry, I'm gonna get it to you. As project manager of the transaction, make it your responsibility to ensure that all parties know what is expected of them and deliver on their commitments on time. There's no such thing as over communication. Clearly outline the role and responsibility you own. Set expectations with all parties involved about how and when things will happen. Be the go-to resource, the problem solver when needed, and reassure your client and other parties throughout the process. So for example, what are some ways that we can make sure we're on the ball?
I have a question.
I have an answer.
For your question. Like, for example, how did you find out that that client left overseas and then you had to go around the loophole to get everything notarized properly? Like, how did you find that out?
I called his attorney and I bugged them.
That's when they told you, oh, he left to another country?
Yep. So talk to the attorney, talk to the wife. And unfortunately, the attorney even said, I can't really be telling you this. So, because it's confidential information.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, I would probably bet on the Philippines if I were you. And I was like, fuck. What the hell? So that was an interesting way to find something out. But the truth of the matter is sometimes when we're not getting what we need and we're not, getting the answers we need to start going around and asking questions. What's going on? And we can't be afraid to ask questions, especially when we're in contract. I often say before you're in contract, you're a little butterfly. You're nice, you're sweet, you're a little Labrador retriever. You're happy to see everybody. You're, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then all of a sudden you're in contract, you're a pit bull. Pit bulls can be lovely. They could be sweet. They could be kind, but they could also be pretty gosh darn vicious.
Yeah, as long as they don't lock their jaw, we're good.
Exactly. So sometimes you need to show your teeth a little bit and get after it. You know, a dog searching for a bone is one determined creature. So, but a dog, happy as a clam could also be a very lovable creature. So, the point is think like a pit bull. You're cute, you're cuddly, but you're also mean and tough. Maybe not mean, but tough. We don't have to be mean. We never have to be mean, but we can be tough. Okay, contract to close process. The following is an overview of the general contract to close process. Specifics will vary according to state, province, and local regulations. So here is essentially the whole process basically outlined. And I love this because no matter what happens, we know what the next step is. And I mean, this might seem rather elementary to some, and it might seem mind-blowing to others, but this is a great example. So the offer, it's either going to be rejected, accepted, or goes into counter offers. The inspection is going to happen automatically after acceptance. Once the inspection happens, either the inspection replies, we either accept it or reject it. We want to clear title, loan underwriting, loan funded, or it's rejected. If it gets funded, there's other escrow instructions. There's closing disclosures, closing, funds transfer, and we have legal recording and owner possession. No matter what happens, it is going to go down in that exact order. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So keep that in mind, and that way we are able to anticipate what's going to happen before it even happens. And if we do happen to get a rejection or a counter or what have you, we can prepare ourselves for that. If we get this happen, if this happens, what happens next? It's a great thing. You could gameplay deals out ahead of time, and it actually, frankly, makes the process a lot much more calming. Okay, now steps in the basic contract to close process. Let's see. Can I get somebody in the class to go ahead and elect themselves to read this? Don't be scared, because I will pick somebody. So I'm hoping somebody just elects themselves. Page 15, come on.
Okay, I do it. Okay, I do it.
I'm talking about. Hey, you know what?
Okay.
This is how you perform in this class is how you're going to perform in your career. So don't be afraid to step up.
Okay, I read offer, right? I just want to scream because I'm at the office and people are talking. Okay, contract proposal from the buyer received by the seller through their agent, extending terms, which if agreed from the basis for a sale contract. Acceptance. Seller and buyer accept all proposed and counter proposed terms and conditions and are ready to sign the contract and move towards closing. Counter offers. Sellers amendments to the offer, creating an opportunity for further negotiation with the buyer. The buyer may reply. Rejection. Seller decides not to pursue, right? Please,
Yep.
Guys, tell me if I'm reading it correct, no. The offer further. Or buyer rejects a seller's counter, ending the negotiations. Inspection. Buyer conducts all required or design inspections, physical, environment, etc., and receives a report if a professional inspector is used. Inspection reply. Buyers document itemizing desired improvements or repairs resulting from observations or tests performed during inspection. Inspection reply acceptance or rejection. Seller determines their response to the inspection reply and amends contract terms to reflect what they are or are not willing to do to comply with buyer's request. This process of further negotiation of the contract continues until it is either totally resolved or until the contract is rejected by either party. Clear title. Buyer and seller have an opportunity to receive a preliminary report of title. Local form of this vary that reflects whether any encumbrances, liens, or other issues have been discovered that may prevent the buyer from taking clear title to the seller's property.
Beautiful. Oh, we got
Sorry
one more.
for my English, guys. I moved here 4 years ago. Okay, one
Stephanie,
more.
Don't apologize for your English. It's perfectly fine. Your accent just means you know more than one language, and that's a blessing. Okay, so you're good.
Better knowing, and that's what I tell her all the
Thank
time. Absolutely. Okay, so loan underwritten and funded while the buyer and their agent have led responsibility here. Sorry, excuse me. Lead responsibility here. Whoops. See, I speak English and I can't read half the time, so don't worry. The listing agent also has a responsibility to the seller to ensure that the buyer's loan is progressing with all due haste, and that it will fund for closing in a timely manner. Okay. Other escrow instructions. Either or both parties may have given the title and escrow company. In some states, these two are one and the same. Special instructions about disbursement of funds. Both agents have agreed responsibility to make sure any questions about the disbursement details are answered to avoid last-minute delays. The closing disclosure. By the by, just so you know, this is something that we want to keep our eyes on. For example, other escrow instruction, the disbursement of funds. If you're dealing with a divorce, that money may be going into a trust account, and then the lawyers are going to divvy it up how they agree upon it by the courts. So just keep in mind that if you are in escrow and it's a divorce or a bankruptcy or something like that, you need to be very, very clear that escrow understands, and that the lawyers are also in discussion about where those funds are going to be going. Are they going to be going into your client's bank account? I promise you, if you're representing a divorce, one of them is going to go, yeah, just put all the funds in this account. We want to make sure that that's right, because that might not be right. And you can get in a whole can of worms there.
Does that always happen? Like a lot?
Oh gosh. On both of my most recent deals, somebody tried to get the accounts deposited in their own personal account, and that was interesting. Which, wow.
So you have to contact their ex-spouse, right? And like, how do you?
So, for example, in most instances, you will be representing both the husband and wife in the divorce, the sale. Even though they're divorced, you're representing them both equally. And you're going to have the conversation with them and say, listen, I just want to be very, very clear where are the funds to be deposited. And then you're going to also want to talk to the lawyers. The lawyers are probably going to be giving you direction in regards to that. And you want the lawyers to have communication with escrow. If there is ever a confusion or somebody says one thing and the other person says another, that's a clear indication that we need to pump the brakes and get a decision on this, either from the lawyers or from a judge. And typically the lawyers are not going to do anything illegal, so they're going to be pretty honest about that. But anyway, that's a little bit more advanced, but I definitely had to stay on my toes for a couple of those.
What happens if you have a couple that's not on speaking terms?
Yeah, that's happened with both. Almost all of the divorce ones that I've done. So I usually talk with the lawyers in that instance. I'll talk with both parties, the husband and the wife, separately, but I'm also going to loop in their lawyers into this discussion as well. So, for example, I will often CC the lawyers whenever I'm communicating about very important matters, such as, for example, let's say one person wants to do staging and the other one does not want to do staging. I will, say, I just want to be very clear. Your wife wants to do staging and you do not want to do staging. And I'm going to CC both lawyers on that email. So does that make sense? Like if there's any decisions that need to be made, I'm going to CC the lawyers. If I'm just talking about, hey, here's an update of what's happening, I might not CC the lawyers on that. It really depends. I've done all right so far, but a lot of that's a little intuition. But when in doubt, CC the lawyers, because you want to keep them abreast of any decisions that are being made. So tough. Okay, where were we? Other escrow instructions, closing disclosures. The closing disclosures is federally mandated. It is a 5-page form that provides final details about the mortgage loan. It includes loan terms, the projected monthly payments, and closing costs. The lender is required to provide the closing disclosure at least 3 business days before closing. Closing, the final face-to-face meeting with the parties to conclude the transaction. By the by, we don't have to do this face-to-face. We can do it on Zoom, and frankly, we can do it over a phone call. Each party each signs, I would just say each party signs the required documentation with the title and escrow or escrow officer present to oversee the signing process. Anyway, funds are presented to the buyer or the buyer's lender to satisfy terms of the sale. The seller receives their proceeds from the sale. Recordation and possession. The transaction becomes part of the records of the local government entity with jurisdiction, and the transaction is complete. The buyer takes possession of the property, and the seller has vacated unless a seller carryover or buyer pre-occupancy has been part of the contract. That sometimes does happen. I would not recommend a buyer pre-occupancy. There are multiple reasons for that, but the reason why I wouldn't want that to happen, let's just say, God forbid, a leak happens. Is it the buyer's fault or the previous seller's fault? I don't know. Hey, seller, is it okay if my buyer moves in, 10 days early just to move in their stuff? You're not living at the property, so, is that all right? Yeah, sure. They move in, they use the bathroom. The seller didn't tell you, hey, you need to jiggle the toilet, before when it flushes, or else the water is going to keep running. Then all of a sudden, the entire basement is flooded. Whose fault is that? You're in a big mess of potatoes. So my point is I don't ever recommend a buyer moving in early. Now, after the close of escrow, the seller can remain in the property with a carryover or a rent back. That's okay. Then we've decided it is closed. Now the seller has turned into a renter. That is clear cut, and that is a little bit cleaner than, for example, somebody living in the property ahead of time. All righty, systems equal success. We want to make sure we have some form of a system. A buyer agent contract to close checklist is very, very important. To focus on the buyer agent's role, there's a listing agent contract to close checklist. You can get these from our, I believe actually in the KWU tabs in Connect, but you can also go to our transaction coordinator and ask for one as well. His name is Brian Chung. He is the man. He's awesome. Understand them and use them. As you progress in your business, you may modify them or put in your own words and to reflect local laws and practices. All righty. So here's an example of the buyer contract to close checklist. You're going to see all these things and when it's due, soon as possible. Frankly, you could knock out most of these checklists if you work diligently ahead of time. So that's something that I've noticed. I've actually pretty much done 80% of my buyer agent responsibilities within the first day and a half of being in escrow. The other stuff are just contingency removals, but everything else I've already taken care of. So it's very easy to do this. It's a little bit I don't know, maybe it's easier for me because I was a project manager, but anything you can do ahead of time, I recommend you doing it, just because it just makes things so much easier. Listing
Jared,
agent.
sorry, I have a question. By the way, I'm here in the background. I'm not speaking so much because I'm taking care of my daughter, so I'm just watching. But I have a question. How beneficial is the transaction coordinator for you?
Oh my God, it's so beneficial. Oh my God.
So,
I love them.
But of course, for us that we are new agents, it's good to have not transaction coordinator, but at the same time, I feel like it's very important, right? Or
Yeah, it's very important. So, okay, there's two trains of thought on this. If you're a new agent, you might be working with a mentor, and they may feel comfortable enough that they're not as busy that they can kind of help, guide you through the process and make sure that you have all the your ducks in a row. Now, in the meantime, you can also have a transaction coordinator and say, hey, listen, I want you to just simply remind me of what's due, and I want to do it myself. So let me explain what's important about that. So, George, can you mute yourself for just a second?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. Okay. So for example, when I first got into real estate, my first contract that I ever closed on, I did not have a transaction coordinator. I did every single documentation and paperwork from start to finish on my own, which is more than doable. It's not, rocket science, especially if you have a checklist. You just follow the checklist and make sure you get everything. But frankly, and then when you're in escrow and you have timelines and stuff, I relied heavily on escrow and asked them questions. When is this due? When is that due? Just so you know, escrow officer, please don't say this to anybody, but this is my first transaction. They will be more than happy to assist you. They want your business as repeat business, so they will assist you. Believe me, they're not going to throw you under the bus. If they do, then they're not very smart. Anyway, so the point is a lot of people will say that you should do your own transactions for your first, few deals. That's fine and dandy. If you're doing a very, very high priced sale for your first sale, don't risk it. Get a transaction coordinator. They will make sure everything is done correctly. Frankly, you shouldn't, you should treat all deals the same, frankly. But my point is that there's a lot more liability on the line when there's a higher deal. So I'm just saying it might be a good idea to get a transaction coordinator. But the reason why you want to do your own transactions the first time is because you want to know what you're supposed to do. And you want to be in a position of knowledge rather than always kind of going, I wonder what's due now, what's due then. I don't know what to do right now. So it's very advantageous to do your own contracts. But I would also caution that you might even at that point want to work something out with a transaction coordinator and just say, hey, I want to do this 90% on my own. I'm getting you just to kind of make sure I have everything in that needs to be in, just a set of second eyes. So, you can talk with your TC a little bit more about that. And I'm sure they're happy to oblige, but it's good to try to do your own contracts at first. And then rely on a transaction coordinator. One, because they cost money, and two, because I think you learn more when you're doing it on your own. But truthfully, I always use a transaction coordinator. Maybe once every 2 years I'll do my own from start to finish. But I like having a transaction coordinator because I want to focus on lead generation. You want to delegate wherever possible to be truly efficient. Okay, does that help answer, George? It was kind of a roundabout answer. I didn't give you a strict yes or no. Well, all right. I know you're on.
Yes, it helps. It helped a lot. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Okay, so here are some issues that may come up in a deal. Part of being a great problem solver. Sorry. Oh shit. Here, can somebody please read? Oh no, hold on. Well, yeah, sorry. Okay. I teach. Okay, sorry, I have to send a Pete out. I have 3 showings going on today, and I just didn't get around to it. Sorry about that. Okay, contract to close issues, inspection and repair, inspections and repairs. So surprise findings. What are some solutions for the surprise findings? Everybody, chime in. What are if we're doing an inspection, if we have some surprise findings, what would we do?
You have to tell the listing agent that they have a leaky roof.
Sure. That will definitely be, they'll definitely be told because it will be in the inspection report. But what would we do specifically if, let's say, we had a leaky roof? What would we do?
Write it down.
Yeah, or maybe get a roof inspection. Recommend, hey, listen, there's a leaky roof. I think we need to go further than the general inspection and get a roof inspection. Right? Let's say we found that there was some wiring that was done improperly. There's some Romex that is going through the firewall and it's not to code.
Would that be like an electrical thing?
Call the electrician. Check out, hey, we need to get this inspected and we need to get a bid to figure out, how to do this correctly. How much is it going to cost? Is my buyer willing to pay for it, or can we ask for some money off and have the seller take care of it? So whenever we have a surprise finding, we're going to want to investigate further, and also, frankly, maybe do a little diffusing with our client.
So if there is a problem with like roofs and stuff and whatnot, and if the seller doesn't want to sell the house so that way they don't have to give a discount, is it standard for it to be fixed before the actual sale goes through?
So hold on.
So let's say I'm buying your house. Let's say I'm buying your house and there's a problem. And then you're like, I'm not going to give you a discount on the house. I'm going to get it fixed first. And then we can figure out the.
Yeah, you can have them get it repaired. Sure.
But what if it's longer than what it's supposed to be for escrow? Like, what if it passed?
So we delay escrow. To answer your question a little bit more clearly, if, for example, we get a bid for a roof and we determine that it needs a new roof, the new roof is going to cost $10,000. We ask the seller to give a credit back to the buyer of $10,000 after close of escrow. They say no to that. Then we would say, okay, great. Well, would you like to have it repaired on your own? They agree to that by a licensed roofing professional. And they agree to that. Great, fine. That's fine. You could do that. But then we'd have to figure out how long that's going to add on to our escrow, or can the work be done and completed before close of escrow? That's why the inspection by the buyer happens, within the first 14 days of escrow, because we want to give them a little bit of time to take care of any repairs that might be necessary. But now let's say the seller says, I'm not going to repair it and I'm not going to give you a credit. We can also ask for a reduction in purchase price. Let's say they say no to all three of those. We're not going to reduce the purchase price. We're not going to give you credit after close of escrow. And on top of that, we're not going to repair it.
Move on.
You could also remind them that, whoever goes for that, the lender may require it depending on the type of, the loan and the price point. We may also want to remind them that they're going to have to disclose that to anybody else. And then in the amount of time that we, argue back and forth, we're already 15 days into the escrow. That means you lost half a mortgage payment, doing this as an exercise. You're going to have to take it off the market, put it back on the market again. Probably a realtor is going to recommend that you take it off for a week or two to let it cool down. Now you're out, a full month of escrow payments, and that $10,000 roof that is now costing you an additional mortgage payment, plus, the likelihood of the next person who's going to try to buy the house is going to ask for it repaired anyway. And then plus, now that you have to put it on the market again, you might have to do a reduction in purchase price or sales price. maybe it's in the best interest to just go ahead and take care of this, right? Because we're negotiating, we're using our negotiation skills at that point. And we need to remind them that, bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush. So in those situations, we're going to use our negotiation skills, and we're just going to try to remind the seller that, hey, we're 15 days away from closing. Are you sure you really want to do that? Because let's look at the financial ramifications of you going ahead and saying no to this offer and going back on the market. And sometimes, frankly, we might need to coach the other agent, the selling agent, as why it's smarter for them to go ahead and just repair it. Believe me, a lot of this job is coaching the other agent of how and why your request is reasonable and in their best interest. Any questions in regards to that? Awesome. Okay, the report is complex or confusing. What happens if the report is complex or confusing? What would you do in that situation?
Call you.
Call me. let's say I read it and I find it to be complex and confusing.
Then I guess a transaction coordinator to come in and explain something.
No, this is the inspection and
Oh,
repair.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. The transaction coordinator can't help us. They're not a licensed real estate agent anyway, and they're just helping with transactions.
Right. No, but if it's an inspections report, then I look up the codes, Google the codes, see to the best of my understanding, and then I would probably call Josh and be like, I can't understand this.
No, maybe we're gonna ask. I like the way you're thinking, but I think there's something else that we could do, and maybe go direct to the source and try to have it figured out that way. What would we do? It's a little bit more proactive on our part that we could do to figure out the issue.
You said go directly to the source, so I guess talk to the inspector.
Boom, there we go. Ask for clarification from the inspector. Hey, can you please explain this? Because this is not making sense. Absolutely. Sometimes it just needs a little further explanation. And by the by, can you put that in writing in the report? Can you resend the report and clean this up a little bit? I'm finding it very confusing. And frankly, if it gets a little bit too complex or confusing, you could ask for a second pair of eyes. I don't necessarily recommend getting another, an additional inspection, because that could open up a whole can of worms. But sometimes that might be required if we really get a bad inspection. Now, granted, I've never had that happen, but also I've had, a buyer to be like, I'm just a little bit confused, I'm overwhelmed. And I just sat down and read it with them. And we figured out that it wasn't as, confusing as it was. They were just a little bit nervous. Yeah, so sometimes it's just a little further clarification. It's just, asking the person to kind of go over it a little bit more in depth and to resubmit. Give me 1 second. My dog is crying to get out of the room real quick. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, buddy? Hi. What is it? You want to get out? Okay. All righty. Okay. Ugh, sorry about that. Okay. Now let's go down. Let's go to appraisals. It won't support the price. What would we do?
To reduce the price because that's a big one. Unless my client, if I'm representing the buyer, has enough money to come up with the rest.
Yep.
But if they don't and they really like the house, I think we should go down with the price.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are our two options right there. There's actually three. You can walk away, but I don't recommend doing that. So if all of a sudden we get an appraisal that comes in and it is under the selling price, and then the lender goes, uh-oh, sorry, I can't loan you the money unless it matches the appraisal. We would ask our buyer then, if we're representing the buyer, are you willing to come up and pay the remainder? Or If they say no, we can ask the seller to come down in price. And if both can't agree, the other option is walking away. Now, oftentimes what the appraised value is versus what the offer is not some exorbitant amount of money that's inconceivable from the seller or the buyer side. Depending on the price point, it could just be $20,000, which is a lot of money. But in the grand scheme of things, if it's a $600,000 home or $1 million home, $20,000 is not the end of the world. We should be able to figure something out, and figure it out that way. That's where we kind of go into the smoking room, pour a little glass of brandy, sit back and think about it. How are we going to fix this problem? And have a frank conversation with the listing agent, have a frank conversation with your buyer. If you're the listing agent, have a frank conversation with your seller, have a frank conversation with the buyer's agent, and see what we can do to kind of bring the two together. And then also talk to the lender. What will you allow? Because sometimes you could do it in credits and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, so we want to have just a frank conversation and to figure it out that way. All righty, good stuff. Let's see. Well, there's a lot of different stuff that we can go over, but I don't want to take too much of our time. Okay, good stuff. Closing information. There's a lot of moving parts of closing to a closing. Prepare your buyer and seller for closing by making sure they have and understand the information. Don't assume the buyer or the seller remembers everything from your buyer consultation. This is absolutely true. Oh yeah, there we go. Or listing presentation. You may have to review the important details. Since most transactions occur online, such as with Dotloop or whatever, you may not have to provide your clients with much physical paperwork, but it is important to make sure that they all have the information they need. So closing information. These are all some good little stuff that we have over here. Important dates. We want to make sure we have that information for the buyer and the seller. Refresher on closing 101, guide from the buyer consultation or selling listing presentation. We want to make sure they both have that. Copy of the contracts. We want to make sure they all have that. Inspection reports. Of course, we want to make sure they have that. Dates for the, okay. Important dates for the buyers. We want to make sure we know when we're in contract. We want to know the inspection deadline. Is it, something that did you shorten it to make your offer look better? The inspection response. We want to make sure that we get that in a timely manner. The termite inspection, loan application deadline, loan commitment due, additional escrow dates, closing dates. And for the important dates for the seller, it's a little bit more easy peasy. When we got into contract and when's our closing date. Now, there are some important stuff that we need to realize as the listing agent. If we are the listing agent, we want to make sure that we know all these other dates. I don't know why they only have these important dates for the seller, for the buyer versus the seller. I guess they're saying all in all, you need to know this. But if you're representing the seller, you want to make sure you know when your inspections are due, when the termite inspections are due, when the loan apps are due. You want to make sure you're on the ball on that, because if they're dragging their feet, they don't have to act. You can't passively remove contingencies. It has to be an active removal, which means both parties need to agree essentially that the contingencies have been removed. Just because it's a 10-day inspection contingency and it's been 14 days, but you haven't received a inspection contingency removal, that means the contingency hasn't been removed until you actively receive, I hereby remove the contingency. That's the only time it actually is removed. So keep that in mind. So for the listing agent, if you wanted to play some hardball, 2 days before the inspection contingency is due, send them a notice to perform. And then that way, the second the inspection contingency is over, it is officially done. You've already served them a notice to perform and they have no more days. Hold on. Somebody was saying that they may be able to get me a vaccine. That would be awesome. Anyway. Okay, seize this golden opportunity. If I could have, I'm gonna ask. Let's see.
I can try.
Oh, awesome, Maggie Pay, go for it.
Okay. Season this golden opportunity. Although the closing process may seem like the end, it is not. It actually can be the beginning of another relationship with your next buyer, seller, refer, or vendor. Providing an excellent customer service for everyone involved, over communicating, setting and exceeds expectation is the key to sensing this golden opportunity. Think of the people involved in the entire transaction, especially the closing buyers, sellers, other agents, lender, title companies, and many more. It is important to always leave a great impression. Once the best way to do it is acknowledge and thank them. Always come from gratitude. Hello?
Good job.
Continue?
No, good job.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. I had to go. I had to run to the restroom real quick. My apologies. Sorry about that. Okay, so quick question. How could we leave a good impression? Everybody, how can we leave a good impression?
I think like it's been always been able to help and trying to make a solution to any problem. I think like many realtors, what they do, like, and I think like it's maybe many people, but like you go to the listing or whatever thinking on the commission you will get instead of offering your service, and people can see and can feel their energy eventually. And when you are more willing to be more helpful than just thinking about what you're gonna get, people can feel it, and they can also give you more business eventually.
Absolutely, 100%.
Answer your phone calls right away. I'm dealing with a realtor, she never picks up the phone. It's just like, come on, it's just your business too, you know. It's just
I know. I've had a few. Yeah. Yep. It's very frustrating whenever you have an agent who does not pick up the phone. So it is what it is, unfortunately. Okay.
I've noticed that a lot of people don't answer their phones.
Yeah, there's a true thing that's happening. A lot of a lot of millennials have anxiety about picking up the phone. It's pretty funny. And Gen Z and millennials, they don't like picking up the phone. They get anxiety over it. I personally love picking up the phone.
Same.
Why? You can hear tonality. You can hear if they're pissed off. You can hear if they're happy. You can hear if they're sad. Oftentimes you might say something in a text message that you'll first read it and be like, what the hell? Is this person insulting me right now? And then you say it out loud in your head a couple times in a different way. And you're like, oh, wait, maybe they meant it like this. And so my point is, in text, there's oftentimes a little bit of a confusion of what the sender's intention was behind that text. So, keep that in mind, that when we're sending stuff in text, oftentimes we don't want to have any confusion in what the meaning behind it was. So what I always like to say is pick up the phone, have a phone conversation, and then follow up that phone conversation with a text, just summarizing what we discussed over the phone. So, even while you're on the phone, you could, grab a pen, write some notes down while you're on the phone, blah, 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 great. This is what we decided. Okay, awesome. And then follow up with your notes via text. So everybody is on the same page and there's no, ifs, ands, or buts. And there's also no confusion of what we meant by it because we've already talked about it and we followed up with a text. So, okay, follow up with everyone. Some agents believe that the best time to ask for a referral is after you have begun to deliver on your customer experience commitments, but before things have a chance to go awry. However, even when there are challenges during the transaction handled well, they can be opportunities to be your client's hero, which is so true. If you have given your client a great customer experience, now is the best time to ask for a referral and a testimonial, because all parties are at their happiest. Everyone has reached the outcome they desired, and you have shown your professionalism multiple times throughout the transaction. Be sure to add the client on the other side of the transaction to your database. As the National Association of Realtors statistics makes it clear, the chances that that agent will be orphaned after the transaction is very high, providing the opportunity to adopt them as a client for life. Touch campaigns are the single best proven tool for enlarging your real estate universe. Closing should be a signal for you to start the client on a 33 touch program immediately. Add all participants to your database, including agents, lenders, and closing officers if they are not already. Call your new past clients. The buyers and sellers you just closed on are now members of a special club that you host. Get the new phase of your relationship started with the personal call to tell them within 1 to 2 weeks after closing to see how they are doing in their next phase of their lives, to thank them again for their business, and to ask for referrals. National Association of Realtors reports that 88% of clients say they would do business with their real estate agent again, but only 12% do. Don't be the 76% that loses touch with their past clients. This is huge. All righty. We want to get a report card of how people feel. And also, by the by, this is a good way to just, if they don't want to write a review and they're lazy, you can get them to fill out a report card and send it back to you. And you can take a picture of it. Boom. Now you have your review. If it was good, obviously, if it's bad, you might not want to post it. So that's a good way to get a review on your social media. Let's see. So obviously, it's very important for us to keep in touch with people. Right here, it's talking about we can send them movie tickets, gift baskets, gift certificates, something they will need in their new home. These are all like kind of closing gifts. What are some ways we can keep in touch with people? Give me some ideas.
Social media.
Sure, social media.
Text message.
A home anniversary.
Boom, home anniversaries. You could send them like a little picture that's framed or something of the picture you took of them when you first closed their home. Congrats on your home anniversary. Something cute. So definitely awesome ways to keep in touch.
What about a personalized gift that that they'll use all the time, so that way you're like subconsciously on their mind even?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that a lot of agents like to do is like Cutco knives or cutting boards or, fun little ideas like that they'll constantly use and remember. That's one of the reasons why, for example, a lot of agents will hand out sports calendars. So, for example, they love a certain basketball team. What time are they on? What time is the Laker game on? And, you have like your little logo there and your phone number and stuff. That's, all those are great ideas. What are some other things you could do?
I don't know. I think called, if you can make this kind of relationship that their birthdays, or I don't know, you like the same team and he plays at night or the next day, just to follow up and chat a little bit about things that they are not related to real estate.
Totally, absolutely. And what's the best way we can remember all these people's birthdays? Do we just kind of keep it in our head, or is there a special place we could write notes on that?
A command is the best. Like this morning I used it. I put all the information I have, and there is so many things that so many tools that it gives you that you can use. It's so good.
100%. I want to hire Blake to help me with my command because I lost. But yes, absolutely. But I think Blake has already been hired by somebody else. But yes, command.
I'll go in on that with you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if we can afford them anymore. But definitely, I need to sit down and do my command a little bit more too. But very good. I'm going to take his classes again. Okay. Let's see. So action items after we close, we want to add our buyers and sellers to our contact database, add allied resources, lenders, closing companies, and inspectors to your database, add business-to-business resources to your database, identify a calendar system with reminder capabilities that you'll use to keep track of events and deadlines in the contract to close process. So for example, we want to use our iCalendar or Google Calendar. I personally like using Google Calendar just because I have a Microsoft computer, but I have an Apple iPhone. So I don't like using iCalendar because I want it to be cross-compatible. If you have all Mac, you might want to stick to iCalendar. But then again, I know that Google Calendar could work on all Macs, but I don't know if iCalendar works on all Microsoft devices. So if your clients have stuff and you want to invite them onto your calendar, that's mainly why I like using Google Calendar the most, because it's cross-compatible with all devices. And that's pretty much it for today. Do we have any questions before we break? Remember, the last class for this session is going to be on Friday, this Friday. Instead of Monday, Wednesday, it's going to be this Friday. And then after, we're all going to try to meet up safely and slightly distanced at the Wellsbourne from 5 to, I believe, 7. So we'll love to see everybody there if possible. And thank you.
Where do we meet?
Oh, it's going to be at the Wellsbourne. So hold on 1 second. Let me find the address for you.
The people who left their number, I'm gonna shoot you guys a text with everything. As I copied everyone's number.
Are we going for drinks?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't notice. Nobody told me.
Getting some drinks in our system. Absolutely. And it's just a cute little bar that I really like. And the
What,
reason
on Friday night?
Yeah, on Friday night from 5 to 7.
Okay, good. So I can go back to my Shabbat dinner.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's called the Wellsbourne, and I just sent the address and the name of the place into the chat. I will do it again on Friday. It's gonna be their first night opening up from Friday from 5 p.m. I believe they have happy hour. I know the owners, so I will definitely give them a call real quick and let them know that we're going to be coming. But remember, everybody, bring your masks. We might have to be slightly staggered on our tables, but we'll still be able to kind of chit chat and have a nice, lovely, lovely time. And by the by, if you're feeling a little bit under the weather, don't show up. But other than that, I think it'll be a great way to just kind of say hi to everybody, have a couple drinks, and we'll be outside, and it's a huge patio in the back. So it's really actually like the size of a bar almost, but it's
Oh, I remember I used to go there when I was a student. It's so cute.
yeah, and well, they
It's
now
really
have
cute.
they have a huge patio in the back now that they just developed. So
Oh, I remember the inside they have all these old things.
yeah, it looks
They
like a
have even books.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a little English library almost, but now they have a huge back patio that's the size of the inside, just outside. So,
Wow.
yeah, very
Okay.
cool. So other than that, is there any questions? And thank you very much. Oh my gosh, whatchamacallit? Angela, thank you. There we go. Angela, thank you so much for organizing this. That's awesome.
No worries.
Are there any
Thank
other?
you guys so much for today. I have to hop off, but I'm very grateful for this. And I'm sad I won't be there Friday, but you guys have fun.
No worries. Any other
Thank
questions
you.
before we go? We're good. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I hope to see you on Friday for the final Zoom class, and then hopefully at 5 o'clock to have a couple drinks and just to chit chat and all that fun stuff. But everybody, thank you so much for joining. Have a great one.
Thank you, Jared.
Yeah.
Thank you. And see you all on Friday. Cheers. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.